What's up guys, it's Talon. Today I'm going to be coaching a diamond support player playing Karma and Swain. So in this video we're just going to talk about, the typical things that we talk about coaching, especially focusing on the lane phase for this guy. A lot of his, how to play more around an aggressive lane matchup where you have the winning lane, and how to really get advantages as a support in lane and kind of impact the game really heavily. If you're interested in coaching from a rank 5 sovereign autofill player, just DM me on Discord, the link in the description to my Discord server, or you can just add me Talon1169. Just $15 for an hour of coaching. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. Okay, so even like a small thing here, which is already not a huge mistake, but something I would work on, is I would just be going with our ADC here, because say you do walk up here, your ward's not really like that valuable. One, Jack's jungle's not really going to gank you super early. He's also probably going to start red side, which means he's probably going to end up blue side most of the time. Not always, but usually. So we're not overly worried about an early gank for a ward like this. We'd rather be with Misfortune because she's really good level 1, and so if you're able to just walk up with her and get like a really good poke on someone level 1, that's going to be a lot better.
Okay.
Also in a lane like this, I would go Ignite because they're a very weak early lane. Tristana is one of the worst early game ADCs first couple levels because of her really short range, and Alistar is probably the worst level 1 support in the entire game and really bad in general early game. So having Ignite, because of the fact that it's a lane that you win, is going to allow you to win it a lot easier. Whereas heal, into aggressive supports, heal is hard because if they ignite you, then your heal doesn't get value. Like in engage supports and whatever, because of the anti-heal. So for all those reasons, I would go Ignite this game as well. And to get on the word thing too, and stop me anytime you have questions, to be clear. And I'm just going to point out a lot of things, and then you're going to be able to like look back on the replay or on the video when it's posted, and then for specific things we'll write down notes at the end. So that's, if I'm going too fast, just stop me and let me know. But another reason that you don't necessarily want a ward level 1 is because then you can only get like a weaker ward like that. But this lane matchup we know is very good for us, as we spoke about. And in a lane matchup that we know is very good for us, we want to make sure that we're warding after we get prio on the first couple levels. Also, did that thing that pop up, is that something I need to edit out, or is that not a big deal?
Oh, it's not very good.
Okay, I just want to make sure. But also here, we should be hitting the, so this is a really important thing. So level 2, you get level 2 off of the first minion wave, or the first minion of the second minion wave. And so as soon as that comes as a support every single time, you need to be walking up and trying to get priority on it. Again, especially in a lane matchup that you win like this one, you need to make sure that you're auto-attacking it as soon as it comes. So even right now, where you are right now, instead of being here, you should be playing around this bush, because once again, we spoke about how, and you play Alistar, right? So Alistar can't really do anything level 1 against you. So if you're just standing on the edge of this bush here, taking up way more space, like pushing them back, auto-attacking this minion, like you should have pretty much, in like I said, like when the minion gets right like here, you should already pretty much be in a position to auto-attack or to bait the Alistar engage. Yes. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because again, if he W's onto you, then he doesn't have his W once he gets his second ability up. Because it's going to be on cooldown, and so then you're going to be able to trade really hard. So basically, you just need to be taking a lot more advantage of the fact that you have a really winning matchup here. And again, you should be also, again, positioning around the bush is a lot better usually than positioning in the way that you are. Because when you're grouped with your teammate like this, Tristana Bomb's going to hit you really easily, obviously. So we just need to be taking space and taking it more around the bush. Because typically the support wants to play around the bush, and then you let your ADC usually be hovering on the opposite side.
Gotcha. Okay.
And yeah, again, also, you have empowered Qs, so, like, at this point, since we're in this position, you should walk up here and Q this. Like, this is just free poke. We're kind of wasting a lot of time not getting the poke, and also, again, level 2. And like I said, I'm pointing out a ton of things. We'll obviously go over the specific details that we really need to focus on after, but... And you do end up getting the poke off, so that's good. I do assume you normally take E, but I think just because of that situation, you took the W second, which is good.
Yeah, because I know
it was a good time to take it. I'm just making sure, but yeah. It looks like the Jacks did do weird pathing. Oh, that's strange. But again, that's the kind of another thing is because our word doesn't spot him on our Krugs, on his Krugs. And so again, when we're in this winning lane matchup, how the lane kind of should have played out is on that second wave where you get level 2, you pretty much be pushing them under tower. They should be super low because of how they played and the fact that this lane matchup's really winning. And then after you get this like prio, on level 2 where you're pushing, like you basically where you are right now, you should have been a level earlier. And then when you're doing that, you can then just walk right here, ward up here, and then you can see his Krugs now. Because almost always the jungler is going to farm their Krugs before they gank you. like this early in the game. Every once in a while they won't, but very often they will. So if you get knowledge of that, then you can kind of tell when the jungler is actually going to be a danger to you. So yeah.
Okay.
Ideally, your teammate would have stayed here, but not the end of the world.
Yeah, I wanted him to stay, so I popped it. So
Yeah, but it's still fine. I mean, you can just freeze it here, and then we don't really need to walk up quite so far. It doesn't really matter too much, though. I wouldn't be trading like you were, though. Like, you should have, once he jumped off, just backed off because your teammate's not there, but it's not the end of the world. And then something you can understand as well is you actually are pretty safe to walk up on this wave because we know like the Tristan is rather low, and the Jax, obviously you can't actually see him because we have like God vision, but the Jax, since he ganked us relatively like about 30 seconds ago or so, we know he's probably not still going to be around, because if he just ganked us 30 seconds ago, he has no camps up. So then the only way he stays in ganks is if he gives up camps on the other side. And so we would expect him to be like he's starting to go to mid or go to bot or whatever. And so in this scenario, the way that you want to play it when you're desynced on your back timer with your ADC, you want to try to get a wave push super quick. That way you don't miss out on golden XP. And then again, you push that wave as fast as possible. You use your first ability on it. You auto attack it. You ping attack so your teammate hopefully pushes the wave, and then you take the recall. That way you have better golds. You're not losing out on XP, because again, if your teammate is dumb, which he probably is, he's going to push this entire wave, and now we're going to lose like a lot. And another thing that it allows you to do as a support, which is extremely important, when you do push the wave like that, like instantly as soon as it comes, it allows you to recall and then go straight through to mid, because the next wave won't come for a little bit. And so it gives you a good roam timer. And in this scenario, you wouldn't have a roam timer because nobody's mid, so like there's nothing for you to do. But it's a general opportunity we can create that allows us to like get big advantages for our other lanes. So, does that make sense?
yeah, you normally it would like so I would push the wave, come back after the time, and then go mid, help out mid, and then go back to ADC.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you
It's all
always
going
want
to
to push
depend on the
mid?
scenario, of course. But yeah. What's up?
This
Sorry.
scenario? Do you always want to like go to mid after you recall if you're doing good in your lane?
No, so it's going to depend a lot on, like, on a lot of things. So for example, like I actually said, like this wasn't a scenario to go to mid because they were already pushed all the way down bot. And so there's nothing that you can do, right? Because there's no actual play that's going to be made. So the time that you would go mid is you would look at the wave, for example, the health bars, if you know that flashes or other things like that are out, your jungler's location. So like, for example, say they were both in mid on this wave right now that's up, or well, I guess it would be a little bit before. Like here, like when we're deciding to say, instead of this being a Jax, it was like the Twisted Fate on there, and he was kind of low, and your Ahri was up. And maybe you look at your Ahri cooldowns, Ahri has flash, she doesn't. Let's say she did have flash, right? And say our jungler maybe had one blue side camp left, and then after that he had no camps up. So you know he's probably going to look for a gank. Like, because of these scenarios, we're going to be like, okay, there's a lot of things that mean the gank likely will work out. Or another scenario, your teammate's really low in mid and he's getting pushed under his tower, and you know the enemy mid is really high health. Well, then you go there to help them push the wave so that they can get a free recall. So it's like those are kind of going to be some of the main types of things to look for. Like if your teammate's in danger, if you see a potential gank, if other one like of your teammates, like your jungler for example, are looking to go there as well, that's when you're going to go there. And it's also, again, it depends on your ADC's positioning too. So for example, here you see Alistar backing and your teammate is safe. Like there's no way he ever dies here, right? He also has his flash up as well and exhaust, so you know like he's even safer. So you're taking into account the safety of your ADC, the likelihood of a gank working out if you need to help someone else and somewhere else on the map, things like that. Does all that kind of make sense?
Yeah, you know it's crazy. I never thought about all of that.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of things that yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean they're all like they're not complicated things, but they're things that you don't always think about. Like going through this checklist in your mind every time that you recall and everything, it gives you a lot of opportunities to make free plays, and they're actually like rather simple. And they're not going to work out every game, but you know, say 1 in 5 games, 1 in 10 games, you're going to get a free kill on mid, and all of a sudden that's going to make your mid laner snowball the game, and it's going to be like super easy. So just looking for those types of opportunities is what we try to do. And another thing too, like depending on how your lane is going, say your lane went really poorly at the start and you know like your ADC just sucks, he's playing awful, whatever, you could maybe even make a roam down to bot after one of those similar situations, for example, just depending on like how bad, you know, your lane's going. So it always just depends on the game. So another thing here, after we get a kill in lane, because we're both low health, we don't want to spend a lot of time here because we also don't have any spells. So again, like spells are a very important thing to pay attention to, especially as like a dual lane who are both squishy champions. Nobody has any spells. So you want to get this lane pushed as fast as possible. Now that you got a kill, you want to get a recall because you can spend your gold that you just got from these kills, or from this kill and from getting the wave, and then you're going to be at a bigger advantage. But if you spend too long here, again, obviously like we see the jungler, but you wouldn't see the jungler in your game because you don't have the god vision, and so you wouldn't know where the enemy jungler is or where the mid laner is, and you could be in danger. It looks like TF might even ult you here, which is, again, if we just push the wave instantly, it might potentially be safer, but it's a bit hard because it is TF, so it's hard to deal with. But it worked out, so we'll take it. But
Yeah, I just got lucky.
if it works, it works. I love how many junglers take grasp. It's so funny. Like their Jax has grasp, but it just makes no sense. I see it like in Challenger all the time too. Weird. Okay, so here's another scenario. Yeah, what's up? Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So here's another scenario where I made a video about this recently called like tempo, and basically they're overstaying here where they haven't recalled, so you're going to be even stronger once again. You just killed them, and like they're pushing the wave here. Because of the fact that you're going to be able to clear this wave like under tower, you're probably going to lose a plate or two. Once the next wave comes, you're going to want to be on it immediately since you have the advantage in lane. Push that that wave, and then because the objective is spawning soon, like it's spawning within the next minute, you're going to use that time to then after you push the wave, to roam for vision to hopefully get a ward on the objective, and then start hovering more towards mid and trying to get mid priority. So we're kind of going to start looking at other places of the map rather than just our lane after that wave is pushed, because of the fact that the objective is coming soon. Unless we get like a free kill opportunity, but if that doesn't happen, then that's what we're going to look for. So. And it looks like they do give you a free kill opportunity, so we'll take it, obviously. But again, the wave is kind of more important, but that's more your ADC focusing that wave there, kind of being dumb. And this is good that we push it really fast. That's exactly what we want to do. I guess since he's so low, I don't mind doing this too much, but it is like typically a little bit risky to be doing this at this point in the game. But yeah, since they're so low, I think it's fine. This should work out. Do we win this game, by the way, or no?
Yeah.
We do, okay. It looks like a game that's going really well, so.
Yeah, it's going pretty good. I had another one about Swain that we lost, but it's still not uploaded, so I have to fix it instead.
Yeah, I mean, you can screen share if you prefer that for the second one. So. Okay, so another thing, so we got this turret, and this is something that is sometimes hard to do, based on how your ADC plays and whatever. But ideally, now that we've gotten the turret, we either come to mid now or we go to bot, but we want to play first somewhere where a turret is up. So I'm assuming you're going to go rotate for this Herald here, which is what you should do. And then after rotating for or I guess Dragon's up, so I guess it just depends where our jungler goes, but we want to ideally start rotating and playing more around like other parts of the map to push our advantage further rather than just staying in lane, which is exactly what we do. So that's really good. What is that TF? Why did he could have just walked away, bro? Okay, and so this is kind of the first like I guess mistake I would say in terms of roaming. So you go back to help your teammate, and at this point it's kind of too late. Like he's either gonna die there, or he's gonna live. Like you going here probably doesn't change anything. Maybe you get a kill, but once again, once we've gotten a turret, we've extracted what we can from this part of the map. It's okay to trade sometimes, let your teammate die in order to get advantages elsewhere. So what I would do this scenario, I would probably start rotating towards the bot side, and then I would play with my Lilia to hopefully break the bot turret with that the Herald or whatever you call it, or break mid, wherever Lilia decides to go with it. But I would stay playing more around this side of the map now that we've gotten this top turret and everything, because a Misfortune should realistically be able to survive that, and then it looks like they do. So like again, we literally weren't needed here. Misfortune is like really good wave clear. That's generally one thing to look at for whether or not your ADC is self-sufficient, and we do get this kill here, which is nice, but again, we could have gotten more on the other side of the map. But if your ADC is relatively self-sufficient, usually because of the fact that they have good wave clear, once we do something like this, taking the turret, we can try to make plays on other sides of the map and whatever. Ideally, you get your Misfortune to even go with you bot side so you can continue to snowball. But regardless of whether she comes or not, we should just look more for other parts of the map.
Just yeah, I tried to get him to go, but he didn't.
Try to what?
I tried to get. I was pinging to come to Baron,
Yeah.
and he didn't want to. He just stayed up there.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about that, unfortunately. I mean, like, your Misfortune based on this game is really bad, so like, it's kind of hard to get them to do what we want. And again, I would just stay in wave clear here. No one on your team is here. You might as well just go wave clear. I don't really know exactly why we went to jungle, but now you're gonna possibly lose plates to Nasus.
I was gonna try to go to like a shortcut, but then I saw him, so I went around.
Gotcha. Yeah, in a scenario like that, especially since we'd already finished our support item, like, I'm happy to just stay and farm in that lane there until our teammate comes, because I don't really want to be giving Nasus like free plates and whatever. So that's just what I would prefer to do in that scenario. But
Yep.
And then again, paying attention to the waves here is kind of important, because that mid turret's low and we want to protect it, and there's a wave that's about to come there. So instead of roaming now, we'd rather get that wave first and then roam. And ideally, again, our teammate would get it. But the nice thing about Karma is she can kind of be like someone actually clearing waves, unlike a lot of other supports. So in a scenario like this, again, since that wave's coming so soon, you're now going to lose this turret to Tristana if she's smart. And that losing your mid turret is a bigger deal than just getting this one kill on Nasus. So we'd rather be protecting that. But... And again, ideally, one of your teammates is covering that, but since we noticed that they're not, we kind of have to take that job ourselves, which is, again, that's what Karma's good at, is she can kind of play other roles, like, mid-game, like, you can kind of switch your job, whereas a lot of other supports kind of get more stuck in, like, playing one way, so. And again, we're going to now lose that gold bounty as well, we're going to see on mid lane, I think. I mean, maybe the enemy are just really dumb and don't take it, but if we were playing in, like, a real elo, I don't, no disrespect, but, like, people would be taking a lot of gold, and then we would be losing a lot more, because again, even now Tristana is getting this top turret, and the mid turret should die. And even though you got a bot turret, and I think maybe we got this one, I don't remember if it was dead already or not, their turrets, like your turrets, are worth more gold because you have the gold bounties on them. So this trade is not even though it might feel even. And even killing the enemy, a lot of them are worth like 200 and less gold now because they've died so much. And so in a scenario where you're ahead this much, it's more about protecting turrets, making sure you don't lose gold bounties, making sure you don't throw, and then you can rotate and help with your team after, but you have to make sure you're pushing the waves before that happens.
So it's okay if like I get away from them. If they're up here, I can just go protect the tower. But even as a support, I shouldn't just follow my ADC.
So it will depend. Like any support champion, yes, but Karma especially is really good wave clear, so like you're not going to be wasting as much time there. So like say you're playing Alistar or Thresh, it's going to be a bit harder to like clear the wave super quick, so it's a little more annoying. Karma's wave clear is super good, but even if you weren't Karma, yes, like regardless of what champion you are, when your teammates are doing dumb shit like this, if we're going to lose as much as we are, which now Tristana is going to get another turret, like this is the way we lose the game. The way we lose the game is not from two of your teammates dying here, because two of your teammates dying here doesn't really matter that much. Like they're gonna give 300-400 gold away to the enemy, but the enemy are gonna be all the way down here. They're not gonna like be able to push and gain a lot more. But when we live Tristana like this, she gets over 1,000 gold from this gold bounty, like overall, not just to her, but her entire team, like the global gold and everything. And she also got this turret. And again, we pointed out how the enemy should have taken the mid turret. So that was 3 gold bounties, where that's like 3, 4, 5,000 gold. I don't know the exact number, but that's, you know, thousands of gold that we're losing versus a potential 600-700 gold loss here. So it's just like a much bigger problem of how much we're losing. And so a scenario where you would, and again, we see even, unless the Alistar, okay, the Alistar is just the worst player on the planet, but
yeah,
so we'll take it. But a scenario where you should do how, like, play it how you played it, is when, say, Baron was spawning or Dragon was spawning. Like, then it's more important to be with your team, because if your team dies, then you lose the Dragon, you lose the Baron, it's a bigger deal. But when your teammates are like that and there's no objective up or anything, then playing around the real objectives, which are turrets at this point in the game, is what you should be doing instead. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe, like, these enemies are actually, like, that Alistar is just crazy. Pretty funny.
Yeah, I was laughing.
I love when they do that. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I've played probably like 200-300 games of Alistar. I've done that. I've accidentally like saved people's lives. You know, it happens.
It's a you think you have enough mana and you don't. It's just
Yeah, the mana is the worst. Yeah, this Nass is actually a problem. Well, I mean, I don't think it'll matter. We're up 7k gold, but yeah, just generally focusing on waves is kind of it's a common mistake I see in general with people is not thinking about what like the real kind of goal of the game is, and basically when there's nothing up apart from objectives, and also we can see here now we have a 5k gold lead and we had over a 10k gold lead because of again these mistakes that we made. The things that we're supposed to be paying attention to when there's no objective up is kind of turrets. Like turrets and waves are the real objectives of the game whenever there's not a dragon or a baron or whatever, because those things give guaranteed gold. Like they're, you know, they're not risky, whereas going for kills is always just like there's always the risk it doesn't work out or that you throw. And again, when you're ahead this much gold, usually the enemy are worth like half as much gold as you when you kill them, so the risk reward is even, you know, further in their favor there. Whereas the waves are always worth the same amount of gold to everyone, and these turrets are always worth the same amount of gold. Obviously, once they get gold bounties, then the enemy, it's worth even more to them, which is why it's even more important to defend the turrets. Because this is how so many games come back. Like, I even had a game today. We were down, like, I don't know, 7 or 8k gold, and I think I was, like, 2 and 8 on Jace top lane, and the enemy just kept trying to kill me, and I was worth no gold. And then one time, 1 or 2 of my teammates got a kill. And then I was able to get 2 gold bounties, and all of a sudden I had more gold than the, like, Camille I was laning against, who had, like, you know, way better KDA and whatever. And then they threw the game. So, like, this stuff happens in Challenger, Sovereign lobbies even. It's a very common mistake that a lot of people make, and it's just, like, it's just a very simple fix that we can have, which will already allow us to win more games and increase our win rate without really changing anything drastic with how we play. Again, even just on here, it's not always your job to deal with everyone, right? Like, it's kind of hard. As the support, you know, you do have to be paying attention to your team, and so I wasn't really paying attention to exactly what happened here. And so in this scenario, I'm just going to kind of look back and see if there's anything we really could have done. And so here, I mean, we do see them on a wave here at this point, 30 seconds. It'd be kind of nice to try to come and cover a wave so that they're not just going to perma push. I don't hate that you're here in this scenario, though. Like, it's not really a big deal, but it is something to think about. Like, this is, again, kind of the way that we could lose, or once the fight does, you know, is won or lost, and we kind of try to get out as quick as possible. But yeah, I mean, I don't really hate the way that you're playing this, again, because the dragon's up, and so now it's more of like a scenario where at least we're gaining something valuable from it. But again, at this point, we should already be backing off. It's kind of like, yeah, now this is where it becomes more of a problem, is where we haven't recalled. Then at this point, when the fight was already won, we're no longer really needed, and Miss Fortune does go and cover it, so it's mostly fine. But it's just kind of paying more attention to the waves and the turrets and stuff. Because now the gold is 3k. Like, we're up 15 kills and 3k gold. This is the power of gold bounties. They're really kind of broken, to be honest. So yeah, that Tristana has 11k gold and she's 1 and 2. She has like the most gold in the game apart from Your Miss Fortune. Your Miss Fortune is 9 and 2. Crazy. Like, this is literally basically like kind of the Jace scenario I was just describing.
oh yeah, and that's how they come back.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the thing too. I tell a lot of people about this in terms of builds and in terms of just not throwing games. It's like you want to build and play more defensively when you're ahead, and you want to play really aggressive and risky when you're behind. Because when you're behind, you're most likely going to lose. So you might as well make, you know, a play that you think maybe doesn't work out if the potential reward of it working out is really high. Where like if it somehow does work out, you get, you know, 2,000-3,000 gold, whatever, off it. But in a scenario where you're ahead a lot, you just have to be protecting, you know, the basic things, playing the game slow, making sure that you do what's right. You take the objectives, you take the turrets, you take these things, and then you go for those fights afterwards, because there's no reason to make so many risky plays when we're already ahead, because we're just going to win the game once the Elder Dragon spawns, as long as we maintain that, like, huge lead, for example. So, like, even flipping objectives, like, isn't really necessary, unless it's just a free objective. Like, obviously here, like, everyone's dead, we take it now, but, like, there's no reason to flip a Baron, for example, if, you know, both junglers are still alive and we don't know where they are, or we only have one extra person if we're ahead again, like stuff like that. What's the gold tier? Okay, so you should probably just be the one taking this. Because the only person as weak as you on your team is Ahri. So even though you're doing really good in the game, like stats-wise and everything, everyone on your team is really strong. So just take the T-Rex in the future. Like when your team is really strong, that's when you take it. And then when you're strong and you have someone doing really bad, that's when you don't take the T-Rex. So
Okay. I don't really like the T-Rex update though.
I don't want it to be permanent, but I like the variety because I play the game so much. That's kind of nice to have something new. But I don't want it to be permanent. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the problem with when we let an idiot take T-Rex. Like, the way that this T-Rex shouldn't be half health already. He should have just been hovering and waiting for our teammates, to come and then pushing with it. And this is another reason that if you are not super high in gold, it's kind of nice to just control it so that you're the one controlling it rather than letting a random do it, because now you're just going to lose like your entire Baron almost. But generally the way we use it, we're just like protecting a minion wave, usually, with the T-Rex. Waiting for a team to come, like you use the second ability of the T-Rex to kind of protect the minion wave for as long as possible, and then you let a second one kind of stack up with it if you can, or like wait for that next one to come, and that's usually the wave that they've already wasted some spells on and whatever. And then when that wave's coming, usually our team's grouped with us by then, and then we laser the turret as soon as the minions get in range of the turret, because the turret drops defenses once minions are in range. So then we laser the turret and we pretty much one-shot the turret. So.
Yeah, haven't really thought into the strategy for the T-Rex.
Yeah, I mean it's so goofy. It's kind of hard to like think if there's any strategy with it. It's just fucking. It's a giant T-Rex. It's pretty weird.
Yeah.
I do wonder if they're gonna keep it. I'm pretty sure they'll remove it like by the end of the season, but I don't know. Yeah, I assume we end here. Wait, we don't? How do we not end? Oh damn, there's Nasus, dude. Okay, there's Nasus actually. Oh my god. He's just killing our entire team. Think or next one. Yeah. Still fine, but yeah, I don't think we can end.
I think it's because he killed everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, then you can't. Yeah. Not the end of the world. I mean, we still got 2 inhibs off it. Like, we're fine with that. You're still up 10k gold or 9k gold. So it's a risky recall here. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you never know if they have a random reward. Like, obviously I doubt it, but just little things like that.
I just thought it's too close to their base. I don't think they would actually go forward.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's more of like a nitpicky thing. Not everything I point out is something that needs to be like, crazy thought put into it. That's just more of like every once in a while that might lead to a death, and then it could be scary, but it's probably not a big deal. Then yeah, I'd probably be stacking a little quicker. Like, okay, yeah, you do E. Maybe it was just on cooldown. I'm not sure, but. And then even here, we don't really need to be necessarily hitting this. It'd be more important. I don't know if we have words, but either way, it'd be more important to kind of hover and poke here when we have complete control over an objective. Like usually, again, you got that vision on here, for example. You can more stay in this pocket and kind of just be poking people off because you do basically no damage to the dragon anyway. Just zoning them off like that is going to make it like less likely that the enemy steal or something. So, and obviously it doesn't matter like in the end, but another thing when we're around objectives, we generally don't just need to be hitting it like that. Especially as well when you're not super strong, because the rest of your team has a lot of gold, and like obviously as a support, you're usually not going to have the most gold unless you have like one of those carry karma games. And so your positioning can be a bit more aggressive. I mean, obviously you don't want to just like go up and die, but it's better to bait engages onto you. You have a lot of ways to escape anyway, like your movement speed on your E and your ultimate's going to protect you, and baiting them in and like if they use everything to go on you, it isn't a bad thing anyways. So it's okay to be a bit more risky and poke there, like instead of just sitting behind our team over the wall like that, because then it gives the enemy a possibility of stealing.
I guess. Yeah, I normally when I play Alistar or tank, I'm normally up there just warding them off and pushing them to W.
And I mean, it depends on the scenario for how we're going to position. Like, for example, say that this game was close and you just had one Fed AD carry and everyone else in your team was not, then you're going to just position around that AD carry because all that matters is keeping them alive. And like, you'd maybe change your, like, you don't have an enchant yet, which I think is kind of weird. But like, maybe you'd go Veil enchant, for example, if you just had one Fed carry who you really want to protect. Whereas maybe you'd go Meteor if you're more of the carry that game, for example. Or maybe you'd go Stasis even if you're getting targeted a lot by like a Zed or a Fizz or whatever. What is the enchant you typically go?
It's either the super shield one or the medium.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, both of those are probably like pretty much the best ones. And then yeah, sometimes Veil. I don't know if you ever use Veil, but if you have again one Fed carry and say they have like Twisted Fate or Ash or like someone who has like this one ability that will, stun them, you might wanna in that scenario. Also, this game I don't know if you have anti-heal yet, but once we saw the Nasus be so strong, getting anti-heal would be kind of nice. And I think this is mostly just a throw by our team. Like, I don't think there's that much you could have done about that specific scenario. Now this becomes kind of risky. But again, keeping the waves pushed, as long as we do that, like, we're fine. Just playing safe. Because Karma's wave clear is also really good, so when you have all these inhibs down, you just pretty much wave clear and just, that's it.
It's kind of weird going from like a team fight to just relax and pushing the waves and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just about having a purpose with it. What's up?
I'm really like, when there's nothing else to do, it gets confusing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's about shifting the mindset about when we want to be fighting versus not. And again, it's paying attention to the objectives and where the turrets are. If there's turrets up, for example, on the outer sides, we want to play around those. When there's waves, we want to make sure we're getting the wave as soon as it comes so we have more time to roam and make plays. And then the objectives are really when we're actually making like when we're actually looking for fights and that type of thing. Okay, this is a pretty funny steal. I like that. Low-key might have lost this game if you didn't steal that, so.
Yeah.
That is one of the things Karma is good for, too. Dude, this Alistar, oh my god. That's insane. Alright, so I'm assuming that we just end here, so that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, we just ended here.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of this like later part of the game was kind of your team doing some dumb things with the throws, but the main issue was you didn't know how to play with the lead earlier on in that game when we had the 10k gold lead, and we followed up on our team a lot. We could have played a lot more around waves and protecting the turrets, and then this wouldn't have even been a possible scenario to occur. And then the lane phase, making sure that we understand how lane matchups go. Not always warding so early. Usually, again, people start red side as junglers, and so if you're on the red side of them, like their red side, that means they're probably not going to be ganking you super early on, especially as a Jax. And so when we have, a matchup where we know we're pretty much guaranteed prio like this one, we might as well wait until level 2 once we have the lane pushed, so then go ward their Krug so we can get better information versus you warding a bush that doesn't actually give us a ton of information, because we're not usually going to be ganked that early in the game anyways. Using the bushes better in our lane to like get better poke off, playing more aggressively for that level 2, which is the first minion wave of the second, or the first minion of the second minion wave. Those are some of the main things I'm thinking of so far. Again, we'll write down these things after we go over one more game. I'll just go about thinking about what we spoke about. We'll talk through it. If you have questions or anything doesn't make sense and you want me to type it differently, just tell me, because I'm gonna send this to you at the end, and that's kind of gonna be what I want you to look at before you play every game, like within the near future. So you're thinking about those things. But we'll just start from the early game. The first thing was playing around level 2 timer. So generally push first wave and hit first minion of second wave in order to get level 2.
Does it matter if I get the gold with the ADC? Just don't
hit?
final hit it.
So
yeah.
So the way that the support items work in this game is, if you're a support and you last hit a minion near you, it will give the full gold to your teammate that's next to you, and it will only give you the amount of gold as if you were to just not last hit it. So until you finish your support item, do you know how support items work or no?
Yeah, until like it.
Yeah, like until the rings aren't around you anymore, right? Like the you know what I mean? You know what I mean or no? Hello?
Hello? Sorry, I disconnected.
Oh, okay. So you know like the rings that come around you when you have the support item?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then once those rings are away, then you start getting full gold. So yeah, until then, it doesn't matter who last hits it. But once you start getting full gold because those rings are gone, that's when it matters. Does that make sense?
Well, but I use the I don't use the sickle or the shield. I use the other one.
Yeah, even that one works the same way. I don't remember how you get that one finished, but I know it still works the same way until you finish it.
Okay.
And you can look in the again one like you can look in the bottom to see when the support item's finished. The like little thing. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, just let me know. But
No, it makes sense. I'm good.
okay. So then what we were typing, play around level 2 timer, push the first wave, first minion of the second wave, immediately hit it in order to get level 2 before the enemy. Then push the advantage and trade hard with the level diff. And this is also something to just think in general. It doesn't always have to be level 2. If you get level 3 before the enemy, level 4, not as much level 4, but usually level 2, level 3, and level 5, because it all gives you a different ability. These are the best timers to be aggro. So basically be aggro anytime have level diff. Because obviously if we have another ability, it's just super OP. So next thing, stay on a horizontal line with our ADC. Do you need me to elaborate, or do you remember kind of what we talked about with that?
No, yeah, we were kind of on and off, and then I'd go in, my ADC was behind.
Yeah, exactly. After that, play more in the bushes as support as well. That's obviously pretty self-explanatory. Using the bushes to do a various number of things, surprising people, get easier poke on them. It also allows you to as well be spread out. All those things. And then I also talked. I forgot to mention the ward thing that we spoke about initially. So typically, in winning matchups, wait to ward until after. You know what prio is or no?
No.
Okay. So I'm just gonna say the wave pushed. Then ward a camp, if possible. So what prio is, priority is what it's short for. Basically it means that you have the enemy wave is closer to their tower, like the wave is closer to their tower than your tower, so you have the minion wave pushed, and once you push the wave fully, it gives you priority to roam and like go for vision or go roam and help your team and stuff like that. Does that make sense or no?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So when we have priority, that's when we can go and then ward, then roam, make these different plays. But when you go up level 1 and you, before the minion wave even comes, you go to ward by yourself without your ADC, it puts you in danger if, say, the enemy jungle came to you, if just both of the enemy dual lane, like you're just going to die or you're going to lose a flash, and going there without your teammate early on is not as good. After that, make sure you press advantages in winning lane matchups. Like, do you remember the first game where they again had an awful early lane, just on a Alistar, really bad first couple levels, Karma Misfortune amazing, and you were playing really scared? We should have played a lot more aggressive and pushed that a lot harder. Also take an ignite. So I'll just also write that, take ignite in winning matchups. And this isn't an always thing, like you don't always, but typically taking ignite in the winning matchups is just going to allow you to push that lead further and be better. So
Like for example, if they had like a cat, Zyra, they're like higher. So that would be
no,
like
Cat actually applies anti-heal with her ultimate, so you don't really want heal into her that much. I mean, it's not like I'm pretty sure it's their ultimate that applies it. But even if they have aggressive champs, no, like heal is a lane phase spell. It's a pure lane phase spell. Heal is dog shit outside of lane. Like it really is low healing. It's not really something we're ever taking with team fights in mind. It's kind of a thing like, oh, this lane phase is hard. I want to get through this lane phase, so I'm going heal. Like for example, if you're I don't know, you're into a Draven Thresh, maybe in that scenario you're going to heal, but even in that scenario, if you're taking heal, you got to make sure that you're healing early so that you don't get it ignited, because then if it gets ignited, you lose everything because you lose the healing. So just generally, heal's not really a good spell, and it's really only a spell we're taking if the lane phase is super hard and we just are doing anything possible to survive it.
The way I've been using heal is I just use it for like that quick movement speed, just to get like my hard attack
Yeah.
off, catches them off guard. That's the only time I really use heal.
Yeah, and that
I
can be a useful case. Like, that is useful. It's just not enough to justify it compared to the kill pressure we get from Ignite, the anti-heal we get from Ignite, things like that. So,
Okay.
okay. What else did we speak about? So this was a lot of the early game things. I think this was most of the early game. That was the one other thing with, typically we want our backs or our recalls be in sync with ADC. Because again, remember that time where we didn't recall, or I think we recalled, like they recalled when we wanted to stay, which that was fine for you to stay because your teammate was just being dumb. But then he comes back, and instead of pushing that additional wave, you recalled, and then we're even more out of sync. And again, if we push that wave, we're in sync on our recall. Even if he doesn't recall, that now gives us an opportunity where the lane is pushed to then recall, and then you can look for that roam again, which is kind of the next thing we'll write, which is make sure out of base to look for potential roams. We spoke about the specific like things to look for on the roam, so unless you want me to reiterate those, I think you have those in your mind, right? So
Yeah.
okay. And again, the video obviously probably be posted within like a week, probably less, so you can watch it back if you want to see anything specific. Okay. Then later parts of the game, like mid to late game. This is also a thing still somewhat early game, is make sure we push wave and look to rotate about 30, 45 seconds before objectives, because that's another thing. Again, we kind of stayed in lane a little too much sometimes. Could have paid more attention to that. So now this is actually outside of lane. I think a lot of the mistakes were in the lane phase. That'll be another thing. Buy boots earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Buy boots and enchant earlier. Do you remember anything else we spoke about? I'm still thinking about it.
Follow the carry. Follow whoever
Oh
is
yeah,
like.
for sure. That's a big one. So yeah, for sure. Play around our strong points. Okay, so yeah, play around our strong points. I think we spoke about that, so you know the specifics about that unless you have any questions. But that led me to the other thing, which was where we kind of threw the first game, where when we are ahead, make sure we play to protect gold bounties and keep waves pushed. Because again, when we have waves pushed, it gives us an opportunity after that wave is pushed to rotate everywhere. Like when, again, it's the whole priority thing. If you push the wave, all of a sudden the enemy has to respond or they lose 200 gold, per wave. And so when they're responding, that's when you have the time to roam. And then they gain nothing from you roaming, right? Like all that happens is now they're stuck and you get to roam. But if you don't push that wave before you roam and you help your team, what now happens is they have something they can trade, which is exactly what you want to do when you're behind. They want to trade. So they want you, to go roam, to go help your team, and then they use that time to push a turret and whatever. But if you're taking that away by first pushing the wave, they don't have that opportunity, which is why it's so important to do that when we're ahead. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then when behind, look for gold bounties and try to trade. Yeah.
When we're behind, is it okay for like to go out of your way for that bound? Like say like that for that for example that Riven that was kicking everybody's ass. So like would it be better to just leave my ADC, say my ADC stuff on the in our lane?
Yeah. So
It'd be okay for me just to go down and help everybody else out just to kill that Riven.
So it's going to depend on various things. For example, how early on in the game are we talking? What's the advantage looking like for ADC? Like, do we have a win con? You know, for example, in this game, our Lee Sin was really strong, which means we're going to want to look to play with the Lee Sin and help the Riven, or help the Lee Sin. And so when the Lee Sin goes for the Riven, we're going to go with them. But in a scenario where, say, you one lane harder, which I think we can do a lot more with a lot of the earlier things that we spoke about, and your Tristana was really strong and you were pressuring their turret or whatever, was it Tristana you had or was someone you had? Or Misfortune? Misfortune. But yeah, like say your Misfortune was really, really strong in that game. Well, then you would stay with the Misfortune and you would be like, okay, I'm going to let that Riven get fed. Hopefully my teammates stop him or whatever. Now my focus is my Misfortune. So it's really just about where the advantage is on the map. And if there's no advantage, then you can start playing to shut someone down by stacking multiple people. So yes, say that you're behind in every scenario like you are there, like everyone's behind. Then you're going to stack one side of the map really heavily and look to get either shutdowns on the enemy, gold bounties, turrets, anything like that. So yes, in that scenario, we could have earlier left our Tristana and been like, okay, I'm going to consciously give this up because the only way we're really going to win is by stacking one side of the map like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. What else is... Oh. These are, again, a lot of the main things, but I'm trying to think if there's any like last couple points to mention. Just generally, if we don't know what to do, if we don't have objectives up, then first play around waves, then turrets. So yeah, if there's no objective up, we spoke about this, so I don't really need, I just want it to be written down, so it's something that you can keep in your mind. But if there's nothing specific to do, first pay attention where are all the waves, is anything pressuring my turret? After that, then you're like, okay, now I can try to make a play on a turret that's lower or something like that.